Grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, and God evening to all. My name is Justin B. I am a son of an all-powerful and all-loving God and a qualifying addict of multiple fellowships, living in the miracle of recovery, and I am here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. Nikki, tell us a little bit about what you're doing today.
Oh, today's the greatest day of my life. Number one, this is going to sound really radical, and I had a vision a long time ago, Nikki. I'm almost 50, and I grew up, and maybe you did too, Justin. You're a little younger than me, but there was a thing called Freedom 55, and I'm like, I'm going to be free and not have to work and be retired by 55. Now it's like 78 if you live in Canada because the debt level is so high. That being said, during COVID, which was such a dark time, I lost my 6-figure job, and by the grace of God, I was thrown into retirement. I'm living page 19. Here it is. A few are fortunate enough to be so situated that they can give nearly all, I circled all, their time to this work. And my line out says, me as a full-time sponsor. That's what I'm doing today. I'm doing the Noodle Out with Nikki podcast. Sponsee of mine's going to come over. We're going to go for lunch. I'm going to go do service at a meeting tonight. And I'm living happy, joyous, and free.
Love it. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Thank you. All right, a little bit about RICO 12, everybody. RICO 12 is a family of recovery resources, and we have several different resources. The RICO 12 weekly speaker meeting podcast, RICO 12 shares podcast. We're doing a big book roundtable discussion, which Nikki is a part of also there. We're doing this Noodle It Out with Nikki podcast. And there are some other really cool projects on the horizon that are just coming down the pike, and God's hand is in this. So we at RICO 12 subscribe to the idea that in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, that rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. RICO 12 also has the goal of reducing or eliminating the stigma and of shame that accompanies addictions of all kinds. We hope to educate many so that they understand that addiction is a disease that can be treated and from which a person can live a happy, joyous, free, and productive life if they follow a few simple but not easy directions. And we are a self-supporting service, so any donations that you feel that you can give are greatly appreciated. Links to do that are in the show notes of the podcast. All right. With the Noodle It Out with Nikki project, we are doing an exercise, a deep dive into finding solutions to questions, issues, and anything we encounter in our recovery life and in everyday life from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll bring a couple of questions from my own life, from the lives of people I work with in recovery, or from others that I see and hear throughout the week to Nikki, and we'll dive into the Big Book. So everybody, get your big books out, your pen, your paper, your highlighter, whatever you need. Let's get ready to dive in here and learn something. Today, Nikki, I want to address something that kind of follows up on the last conversation we had about open-mindedness. And this is something I'm going to bring this in from my own experience and also from experiences of people that I work with all the time. So here's my first question. I believe that I just have a little problem with my drug of choice. It's just a little problem. And that if I can just break this habit, if I can just check this box, if I can just do this harder or that harder, it'll go away, at least to the point where I can have a glass of wine with my steak, or where I can, open up a social media app and scroll for just a minute and get off it, or, whatever it may be, and just go back to be a normal person like all these other friends that I see doing this with impunity, being able to do this and not have it affect their whole lives. So tell me of my insanity in that as an addict.
Okay, well, your insanity, and Justin, of course, I'm hoping this doesn't, I want to let you know, because, I'm only working off an iPhone. I'm going to get a computer as we grow in the Noodle team. Low percentage, I should make it, and the internet's weird today. So you just give me a thumbs up. But here it is. I'm going to take my prospect to page 21, and I'm going to say, but what about the real alcoholic? Let's use the steak drinker who wants a glass of wine, or the steak eater who wants a glass of wine. What about the real alcoholic? See, he may start off as a moderate drinker. You may be able to have a glass of wine with your steak dinner. You may or may not become a continuous hard drinker, meaning that you're under the table after 2 bottles after your steak dinner. But at some stage of your drinking career, you begin to lose all control of your consumption once you start to drink. So I go there. Is that you? Is that you? How about go deeper with the scroller? You just said you're going to go on for an hour. You stayed up all night. You missed work. Like, this is a real problem forget teenagers, for adults. I like to blot out the consciousness of my existence in cyberspace. It says I may start off as a moderate scroller. Like, I've lost the privilege to even post, because I'll offend the whole world, Justin, with my opinion. So I don't do those things. And then I may become a continuous, user. I'll be on there for a little bit. At some point of my scrolling career, now I'm a sex and love addict. How about this? I may be a moderate, and I was a moderate. Oh, Justin, you don't want me anymore? I'm going to just go get under someone to get over you. That's not a big deal. You understand? And then I become a continuous hard. I've got a couple people in the background. I've got you cheating on you, or I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I've got intrigue over here. I've got my fantasy guy at work here. We play house at work when my husband's, this type of thing. So it's getting worse. And then at some stage, I lose all control. See, I throw my family out. I'm the person who feeds the baby, but I can't come home because I'm with my lover. You understand? I lose all control of my consumption once I start to act out. That's a type 3. Now let's go deeper on this. How about gambling? Well, the truth is, roll your eyes back to page 20, Justin, because what about a moderate gambler? They have little control giving up gambling entirely if they have a good reason for it. Well, I worship money. Okay, Justin, I have never lost more than $20 at a casino. And I worked at a casino. I lived in Laughlin. I lived in near Vegas. It's a little town in the tri-state. And my worship of money won't let me lose more than $20. I'm a moderate gambler. I can take it or leave it. But I can't take or leave you, who I'm obsessed with, that I've thrown my whole family away for. You're not going to live with or without me. Does that make sense? So this is really deep. Does that mean that, you are a hard whiskey drinker and you can be a moderate wine drinker? That's a big hell no. You can't touch alcohol at all. You can't touch drugs at all. That includes marijuana drug addicts if you're a real type 3 drug addict. And then here it is for a certain type. You see, this is me here. I love this one, because I've said this, and I love when people correct me on Noodle. It's like, then we have a certain type of hard drinker, thinker, user, addict. Nikki may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair her physically and mentally. That's me and my sugar and food. More sugar. Because I've got arthritis. I'm turning 50. You guys can't see me on screen. If I eat sugar like a maniac, I can't move my hands, Justin. I got arthritis. And then it says it may cause me, diabetes, die a few years before my time. If sufficiently strong reason, ill health, my fingers, I can't move. Okay. How about this? My ass is getting too big. Can I say that on here? My ass is getting too big. Okay. I will stop the sugar. The warning of a doctor, Nikki, you're going to have to go on diabetes pills. Like, this will make me stop my sugar addiction. I'm a type 2. See, and my line out here says, Nikki is not a type 2 love addict. I'm not a type 2 suffer the disease of alcoholism. I'm a real Al-Anon. I'm a real thinker, but my body wants me to be a type 2. Oh, Nikki, you can just look at that guy. Oh, Nikki, you can just take his number. Nikki, you can do, no, you can't, Nikki. Hey, type 2. Hey, are you guys type 2? Oh, I can just go to that wedding this weekend and have one shot. I mean, it's not comedy hour here, Justin. Hey, food overeaters. You gonna just go and have one bite? Like, that's called insanity. Hey, gamblers, I sponsor a gambler. You just gonna go in and use that $100? I mean, this is called insanity. It's called, you can't differentiate between the true and the false. Now, Cameron, who does the workbook, took this section. He used to have this in my workbook when I first worked with him almost 7 years ago. This was in the book. And then he took it out because he says an addict is an addict, Nikki. And that is true, because here it is. If when I honestly want to quit what? Quit anything, Nikki. Do you honestly want to quit? Thinking, because it's the first thought that leads me to the first action, to the first bite. And based on your log list, your human aid list, have you been able to stay stopped? Stopped from what? Stopped from your addiction, your crazy thinking, whatever it is. Or if when drinking, using, thinking, acting out, you have little control over the amount you take, you are an addict. Do you exhibit little control when any of this stuff starts to happen to you? And it's an honest yes or no. This is, oh yeah, maybe, Justin. I kind of, sort of, a little bit. Like, excuse me, people, radically honest, yes or no? Because it says, if that's the case, Nikki, you're suffering an illness. I have an illness, which only, and I circle only, a spiritual experience, line out, awakening, we're awakening, and another line out every day. See, Justin, you and I are not going to stay, and you've heard it before, clean off yesterday's shower. I wake up with the breath of 1,000 bulls, and I use a water pick, okay? And I use dental floss, and I brush my teeth every night. And I wake up with the breath of 1,000 bulls. I need to brush my teeth. You're not going to want to be around me, people. I got to brush my teeth. I got to brush my mind. I got to brush my body. I got to do this every day. Does this make sense? Because it says this is the only thing that's going to conquer my spiritual illness. So when I go back into, am I a real addict? Because I know, and this is why I get into it. I know a woman, and she wouldn't sponsor certain people in the Sex and Love Anonymous rooms because she's an alcoholic addict, coming off benzos, coming off alcohol. She said didn't compare to coming off her love addiction. And I'm not just talking to men, to her children, to her codependency. It was crazy. She won't sponsor anybody who drinks, smokes, you name it, like this kind of thing. You eat the wrong. I mean, this is why people leave the rooms. See, that's not the love addicts. Now, should the love addict, while they're detoxing, be drinking, like you said, Justin, the glass of wine and having the steak dinner? That's a big, probably not, no. Because you're detoxing, and that one glass of wine could lead you into two, or maybe not, but it might lead you into dessert. It might lead you into, like me, as I say, I like to listen, I'm a retired stripper. I love 80s rock ballads, and I like to cry into my bowl of Cheerios late at night that he doesn't love me anymore. Put on some white steak, put on the saddest rock music, okay? And from Motley Crue, and I'm dying in my Cheerios. I'll even take some old school R&B. He doesn't want me, Mary J. Blige, getting weird. So I don't do those things. And I recommend, I couldn't listen to music because I don't like to use the word trigger, but when you're withdrawing off people, it is true. A certain song will drift you off into, that was my song with him. I can't live. I must die. Oh, and sometimes it's murder because he's living with another woman. Like, this is radical. I can't remember. It goes, smash the idea that I'm like other people, or presently ever maybe. I can't do what other people do. Now, a year later, Justin, in my withdrawal of people, I can listen to music again. I can even dance and have a great time. But at the time, it wasn't good for me to watch those things, listen to those things. Oh, should I watch a bunch of love romances? No, I'm a hardcore sex and love addict. No, Nikki, don't start on Twilight and blotting out the consciousness of your existence, wishing that a vampire, Edward Cullen, and his family will whisk you away. To make it make sense. I don't do those things because that would drift me off. So if you are hearing this and you're like, well, Nikki's giving a go that I can have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. No, that's a big no. That's why you got to be armed with the facts. My sponsor at the time told me, never said stop doing anything. He gave me the choice. Is this helpful? Because he reminded me, God gave me brains to use. You understand? So is it helpful? Page 102. If my only purpose is to serve God's people, is it helpful for me to do these little things? Because let's go real deep. Let's dive, everybody. Page 118. Because this is where it is here. It's like you, and it says your husband, but everybody cross that husband out and just put you, Nikki, will find that you can dispose of serious problems easier than you can trivial ones. My line out says the little stuff eats at my soul. So that one little post, see, I'm lonely. I'm going through withdrawal. Now you're on social media. Everyone's having the time of their life, which is fake news. That's all fake news, social media. So if you see everyone living their life like a superstar, those are lies. And then I'm on there and I'm posting. I'm deep dying. I'm driven by a million forms of self-pity. So I'm dying in my bed. And I put a post and no one likes it. You know where I'm going. Are you awake? So even that little thing, that little post now, I'm picking up a baggie of fentanyl. I'm sleeping with somebody who I shouldn't be. I'm worrying my parents who just gave me money to pay my month's rent and I've just used it all. Are you hearing me? Like, this is where it goes from a post, from one little post where I didn't get validated. Like, I mean, I've seen it happen. I know it. Or how about this? You're going to creep to see what she's doing, stalkers. My God, that's going to lead you into, I need a trip to Vegas, or I need a trip to, oh, I love this one. I need the eat, love, pray trip. I need to spend $10,000 to go to Indonesia to find myself. No, you don't. Ask Justin and I, or somebody, some of my friends in other fellowships will literally mail a big book to your house. So it's free. You don't need to spend 10 grand to escape, because wherever you go, there you are. Deep down inside is your problem. And deep down inside is your solution. So the little stuff's going to eat at your soul. So be armed with the facts, the little stuff. My sponsor never told me to stop. I knew to do it because God gave me brains to use. It's not helpful. And if you are a true addict of any sorts and you are armed with the facts, you know that that little thing is going to lead you to the gates of insanity or death, page 30. And there's only one way out, a psychic change. What's psychic? It's a mind and soul change. If you have a mind and soul change, you will not do the things you used to do. You will start doing the things you don't want to do. See, common sense thus becomes uncommon sense. Page 13. I can't do that anymore. And it's not helpful if you are, even if you're a gambler, to be around, say, people or things or other things that are going to make you want to blot out the consciousness of your existence with other things. It doesn't mean you isolate. It means, hey, here it is. This is the answer. Yes, there is a substitute, and it's vastly more than that. Page 152. It's a fellowship. Get to a meeting. Get to a sponsor. Get to a sponsee.
Yeah, but Nikki, here's the I'm going to respond from the addict's point of view. But Nikki, you're telling me you're taking away my romance novels, you're taking away my popcorn, you're taking away my video games, you're taking away my social media, you're taking away this, you're taking away that, you're taking away this. Boo-hoo, wow. What am I going to do? Go live in a mosque, or go live in a convent somewhere, or a monastery somewhere and curl up and die for the rest of my life? What am I going to do?
Open your book, friend. You are going to turn to page 152, new sponsee, new prospect. And it says there's a substitute. It's a fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous. So, and then I'm going to take it even deeper for you. You have a fellowship in your home. Are you making your bed every day? That's what you're going to do, sir. Hey, are you serving your grandmother who needs that cup of tea every night before she goes to bed? That's what, right? Get your pen out, get your paper out. you're going to go to that meeting and you're going to set up coffee and you're going to get a service commitment. That's what I'm asking you to do. I'm going to suggest to you how important it is that you place the welfare of other people ahead of your own wants and needs.
But what about self-care, Nikki? I got to take care of myself. Aren't I the most important person there is to, if I'm not healthy, I can't help others? Or if I'm
how's
not
that been
peaceful?
that been working for you? Yeah, I love role play. Let's do this. Let's totally do this.
Yeah.
You know what, new friend? How's that working out for you? Because you told me you wanted to kill yourself with all your spas and your retreats and you went shooting with your friends and fishing with your friends. It didn't work for you, sir, madam. So guess what? Your self-care is really called blotting out the conscious. Oh, it's called avoidance. We have a book in Al-Anon. It's called When I Got Busy, I Got Better. It's called When You Got Busy, you started blotting out the consciousness of your existence because you aren't checking your motives. You have no intention. So your purpose is to serve God's people, wanting nothing in return. And you want to argue. So guess what? Congratulations. Keep these defects. When you've got the desperation of a drowning person, new sponsee, come back to me. Because my book says we find it a waste of time to work with somebody who's not eager. You don't sound eager. You want to tell me how it works for you. Yet you just called me and told me you wanted to die. Oh, and kill your lover. I know that feeling. So when you want to follow what worked for me, because I'm here free. I'm here laying on my back deck, reading the big book, having the time of my life. Let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah. So when you have that type of conversation with a prospect, with a sponsee, how often does that person wake up and how often do they go back out and become, more and more miserable and desperate? What is your experience with that, Nikki?
My experience, Justin, and I may sound a little different because my phone's on 9%, but I think I'm okay. Do I sound okay? Okay. Is page 96. We find it a waste of time to work with someone who cannot and will not work with you. So I'm armed with the facts. Go and die. Go, and it sounds awful. I don't mean like that. Don't go drop dead. But let me know how that works out for you. Is that the question, right? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking me? What do
basically,
I do?
Yeah. So if a prospect comes to me and I walk them through that and they're like, no, I'm not ready to give up the popcorn. I'm not ready to give up the scrolling, the YouTube, the whatever it may be. I'm not willing to give that up because that's how I take care of myself and I'm just not willing to do it. And you say, well, how's that working for you? Well, I guess I'm going to go out and try some more. So that's basically what I was asking.
So basically here it is. I'll read it right to us. It's page 96. It says, and at the top of page 96, I wrote this, a sponsor's duty. And then, line out. Number 1, it's just to love. I have to just love that person. Okay. I love you. Let me know how it works out for you. And then number 2, my duty as a sponsor is not to argue, to beg, to plead. It's to guide someone through the 12 steps. So the next line says, don't be discouraged, Nikki, if your prospect doesn't respond at once. My exact direction is to search out another addict and do it again. And you know that I'm a student of Yoda. Do or do not. There is no try. It says, I'm sure. That's a promise. I'm going to find someone desperate enough to accept with eagerness what I offer. Then it says, we find it a waste of time. Who's we? Bill W. and his friends that came before me that have experience. They find it a waste of time to work with someone who cannot and will not work with me. And it says, if I leave a person alone, he will become convinced that they can't recover by themselves. Do you know how many messages I get, Justin, that say, can you add me back? Can you add me back to the group? Can you add me back, Nikki? Sure. Just I'll put you back in. Welcome back. I know because I know it says there's nowhere else for them to return. That makes sense. It says, oh, I love this line too, Justin, real quick. It says here, let me get to it on page 55. It says, in the final analysis, aren't we at the final analysis? Like, show your sponsee. It says, in the final analysis, it is only there. I want to say it's page 55. Oh, gosh, someone throw that quote in. It's like in the, oh, here it is. We found, no, it's page 55. Yeah. We found the great reality deep down within us. You're not going to find it in your popcorn or in your one glass of wine every week. It's only in the last analysis that the power, God, can be found. We've looked everywhere for it. It's so with us. So we're at the last analysis here. And I just remind my sponsee, let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And before we close down here, I just want to let you listening audience know that you can send a question in to us anytime. We'd love to address any questions you have. Go take a deep dive into the big book with any answers that will be there. You can send those questions into noodlewithnikki@gmail.com. Nikki is with 2 Ks. noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and we'll get to those questions and address those in a future conversation we have here. Nikki, before we shut down, is there any other words of wisdom or thoughts that you have that you'd like to address here?
I want to think about and say, really, this is get armed with the facts about yourself. And if you know about yourself, you'll know other people. Because if God's deep down inside of me, God's deep down inside of you. Well, Nikki, they're a type 3 drinker and I'm a type 1 drinker. That's okay. We're all type 3 thinkers. And if it centers in our mind, it really is to think is to die. Nikki, what do you mean I can't think? I mean, you can think big book. That's where we're at. We're in a book, in a fellowship that comes with a book that tells us that we are the intelligent agent spearhead of God's ever advancing creation, that God will do for us that what we cannot do for ourselves, that we will be reborn. And if you've ever, Justin, you're a dad, so you've watched it, but I'm a mom and I've given birth. Rebirth is not easy. There is a price that has to be paid. It's pretty painful. But remember after, Justin, when you looked at the baby and then you saw your wife smile, she just smiled. She wasn't going, oh, that was the worst experience of my life. She's like, oh my God, let's do it again because you have more kids. See, we're living free. It's so amazing. You have to go through the dark to get through the light, my people. Smash the idea that you're like any type 1, type 2 thinker. You're not. I love you, Justin. I love this opportunity to help people because honestly, I had no life before this. I had a good life too. I had a good life, but this is like we talked about last episode, brains exploding, that you and I have purpose. And today's the greatest day of our life. And I know you just walked one of your babies down the aisle and that was a great day, but imagine just today, right here, right now. So awesome. Boop, boop, be doo. Love you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Good stuff. And yes, this is a great life that we live. And I invite others to jump on this road of happy destiny. Let's trudge this thing together. All right. We'll catch you all next time with Noodle It Out with Nikki.